This birth video is a documentation to educate people on the beauty and power of natural birth. It was my most intense birth out of the 4, but that does not surprise me based on Fiona's loud, fiery lioness personality. No prenatal checkups, no midwives, no tests, no weighing myself. So what did I use? I used the primal, instinctual, intuitive knowledge that women have had since the beginning of time. I carried with me a supportive family, husband, trust, faith, shared wisdom and stories, the comfort of my own home, nourishment, peaceful music, grounding nature walks, and a deep sense of surrender. I thought about doing a free birth with my first at-home birth, but I was glad to have had the help from a midwife to help guide us, especially with no family around at that time. And even so, that birth was quite hands-off, and I labored on my own until the last 45 minutes. The night of August 1st, 2019 was a very stormy night, intense rain, lightning, and thunder. I felt the intensity in my stomach, as if I were nature or something connected to it. Luckily, I was able to sleep through the night with the usual wakes up to empty my cramped bladder. I woke up at 5 a.m. feeling some contractions, so I got up and made a bath. I had had some contractions during the previous week, so I was not in full acceptance that this was actually Labor Day. My husband Gabe came in the bathroom and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I feel a lot of intensity, so I'm taking a bath." Not long after, I went back into bed with him. "Do you think I should go to work today?" he asked. "Maybe a half day," I said. After a couple of minutes, I said, "You should stay home." I didn't want to have to think about needing to call him. So then we came into the living room. I lit some candles. We sat and stretched and meditated together. I had gentle contractions here and there, maybe 10 to 20 minutes apart, but no solid pattern. It felt very peaceful to be up as the sun was rising. Everyone else in the house was still sleeping. I couldn't believe that it was really happening on the due date that I had calculated myself, but totally knew that it was manifesting divinely. By the way, I estimated my due date based on the average length days of my cycle, which was 31 and a half days, as opposed to the female's average cycle measured upon a 28-day cycle. So be sure to measure and track your cycle so you can better know your due dates. I told Gabe I wanted a hamburger. "For breakfast?" he asked. I wasn't sure, I just knew I wanted it at some point. I ate half for breakfast, then I started a load of laundry, continuing my nesting and preparing. At times I had to suddenly stop and bend over, squat, or just breathe. It was, I guess, what you call contractions, but they didn't come in like really fast or intense. It like washed up upon me, taking over my whole body. I breathed through it and then it would go away and I was back to normal. It's kind of trippy going in and out of that state or feeling. My sister-in-law Janelle and my brother Kevin moved to live with us from Colorado to support me and help me in this birth. Janelle woke up around 8:30 a.m. and she had a huge smile on her face when she saw the candles lit on our altar. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it. She got excited, and then my son Cedar got up, and he was quite oblivious, as a 28-month might be. Kevin, my brother, woke up around 10 in his good mood self, and he didn't ask why Gabe was not at work on a Friday. He was playing loud music in the house and had no idea where I was. I was laboring in my room. And then when he found out the news, he got super psyched and he wanted to stay at the house as long as he could, for he had been planning to drive up to New Jersey that morning, but stayed later instead. My husband, Gabe, suggested we go on a walk. I was a little bit hesitant, but thought it was a good idea. We all went on a walk together down the driveway and then in a path in the woods. I had to stop every couple of minutes and totally just squat down, sometimes releasing a little bit. It was really nice just to be fully in nature. I felt very lucid and alive. I could tell I was going into a different zone and wavelengths of frequency. It felt kind of like the beginning of a psychedelic trip. All the different shades of green in nature were really vivid. I was taking it really slow, and at one point we could have kept on going, but I was like, I need to get back inside. I didn't want to go too far as sensations were getting more intense. And so when I got back to the house, I wanted it to be dark. It was really bright out, so I closed all the curtains in my rooms, and I was able to take a solid 15-minute nap, folded over 3 pillows on my bed with one leg on the ground. I was able to sleep that little bit, and then a contraction would come and wake me up, and they started coming a bit more frequently. So after about an hour of being alone in my room, I told Kevin to go get Janelle and Gabe. They had been outside working on the bedside crib in the shed. I felt like I was starting to have some of that deep pushing feeling, but I wasn't able to fully release into that because I knew I wanted someone around. So my husband came in with me, and we had about 30 minutes of intimate time together. He was very encouraging and sweet, but also quite calm and serious. Like in between contractions, I would look at him and smile, laughing, and I would reassure him that I was fine. At times, he was wide-eyed and solid as a rock. Later, I found out he was a bit nervous and was intentionally releasing any fears or pain for me. He knew we would be fine, but it's an intense experience to watch and listen to someone else have. When I would make loud release sounds or just shake my lips sloppy loose, like he would say proudly, "Yeah, babe," or "Good job," or "Yeah, that's a good one." It was really helpful to hear that and have him encourage my animalistic, instinctual sounds. At one point, he was really close to me and we gave each other kisses from time to time. And that energy to make the baby is the energy that makes the baby come out. To really surrender and release, you need to feel safe and comfortable and free. And this is how I felt in my home with my husband, able to release a baby. Okay, back to the story. My sister-in-law, Janelle, was having her lunch and then she came in with us, meditated for a little bit to transition herself. The whole day she had been keeping the candles lit, burning sage and Palo Santo, creating a supportive and special place. She put on nice music in the background, and Uncle Kevin was taking care of Cedar. At one point, Cedar came into our bedroom and he was watching me, but he looked a little nervous about what was going on with Mommy, so Kevin took him out and we kept telling him that baby was coming. Now, this look is the classic "I just gave birth" face. At one point during the pushing stage, I thought maybe I should go back in the bathtub, but I didn't feel like moving my legs or hips. They were so tired from the whole day of squatting and bending down. I just couldn't move anymore. So then some bigger, more intense waves came upon me. Gabe noticed that they were about 3 minutes apart. I had no sense of time at this point, but I was so relieved to know that things were really progressing. Then they were 1 minute apart and I was getting really hot, so I asked for some cold towels on my neck and back, which Janelle went to grab. And at that point, Gabe and I heard a pop sound, and so that was the water breaking, water gushed out, and we looked at each other like, whoa, that was cool. With my first son, Cedar was born on call, meaning in the water sack, so the sack never broke until he was fully out. When the intense waves or contractions came on, I had to get down real low, lean over on my bed or hold on to Gabe. Releasing sound really helped me. I was doing my best to just relax into them as much as I could. The only vaginal exam I got was sticking my fingers up there to feel where the head was, which was a pretty cool feeling. The second to last push was probably the most intense one, as you heard. It felt like she was going to come out of my butt and not my yoni. And I was trying to tell the baby where to move forward. I was pretty hysterical at this point, weeping, not a sad cry, but a holy moly, can I do this kind of weep. Once that last contraction stopped, I knew I had to give the next one my all, for I did not want to keep going with this. It was so intense. Gabe suggested I put one leg up in front to be in a lunge, which was a powerful, grounded pose. This is also the same position I birthed Cedar in, except this time I was more upright because my hands were not down on the floor and they were clasped onto Gabe's forearms, who was standing right in front of me. Anyhow, I had wanted to get my leg up, but it took some motivation in that moment to even move my leg. I took a breath of courage and picked up my leg with my 2 hands, bringing it forward and stable on the ground. I was holding Gabe's forearms and squeezed my eyes shut, and I just had this visual in my mind of my body just ripping open, and I surrendered and made the loud scream. With the next breath, the head came out and I was reaching my hands to make sure I could hold it. Janelle could tell that I was starting to rush and I just wanted it all out, but she reminded me to slow down, which was good because it doesn't need to come out right away. It's you think that just because the head's out, the rest needs to come out right away, but it can take its time and it'll get there. I had one more breath and push, and Janelle helped to receive the baby and brought it to me. I sat back on my knees on the floor, and I immediately told them to go get Kevin and Cedar. They came in with smiles and curiosity. Probably they were listening outside the door. And then Gabe says, "It's a girl," and we all screamed with excitement. And at first I didn't fully believe him, so I checked the vagina and was super happy. After some moments of just taking it all in and looking at her, my brother helped me onto the bed, but I just couldn't get comfortable and I felt like I needed to get the placenta out. So I put the baby down onto the bed and stood up facing the bed. "And it's coming," I said. "Quick, get the bowl." And Gabe and Janelle brought the bowl and put it under my leg, and like a second later, the placenta just slipped out with a lot of fluid. Luckily, the bowl was close by. For early labor, I thought I needed to throw up. It would have been an even more bloody mess, for there was no stopping that placenta coming out. And once it came out, I felt so much better. I got back on the bed and they put the bowl with the placenta in it next to me on the bedside table, and I sat there with baby. We kept the cord attached to the placenta for about 6 hours. Janelle was asking what I needed or wanted, and I just didn't know. I couldn't really speak. I was like kind of frozen and awestruck. So I think for anyone supporting birth, instead of asking loose questions, asking yes or no questions could be easier. I was seeing if our baby wanted to nurse, but she was still just taking in breathing and looking around wide-eyed, meeting her new family. After about 20 minutes, she latched, and the rest was kind of a blur, but there were a lot of towels, shower curtain, sheets to clean. I'm so grateful to have had Janelle around. During the labor and the pushing stage, little squirts of poop were coming out, so everything was cleaning and cleansing out of me. And then suddenly I was really hungry. I then called my mother, who was with my little sister and our maternal grandmother. I proudly told them we had another female addition to the family, and they all screamed with joy. I felt so happy that it was a girl because I didn't want to have to go through that intensity again. It pushed me beyond what I thought my limits were, and it also made me feel strong and proud of what I was capable of. But writing about it now, I think about how incredibly magical and amazing the whole experience was. And anyhow, now I have 2 more children, another girl and boy, so 4 in total. So life is going to take you on journeys you didn't know possible. I started potty training right away. Even day 1, I could take baby to the sink or potty, which is so fascinating. I ate some food, and later I rinsed off my loose, shaky body. We burned the cord together in our living room after it being attached to her for the 6 hours. We said a prayer and burned it with a candle with a plate under it. Her cord separated from her placenta after about 5 minutes of burning. It's definitely a strong thing. Janelle made a delicious dinner of baby broccoli, hamburger, sweet potato fries, and then she had made a birthday cake for the baby, which we ate the next day. It was just so good to have a woman there. Gabe was great for his part, but having a woman who knows the needs and really can cook and clean and nurture is such a game changer. Kevin and Cedar had built the fire pit in our backyard where we buried some of the placenta. We put some of the placenta in smoothie as well, which I ate for postpartum nourishment. We lit a huge fire and shared our gratitude for the life of the placenta and our new baby girl. Day 2 and 3 were the hardest post-birth. It's like delayed onset muscle soreness. I had a small tear which I allowed to heal on its own with no stitches. Our yonis are meant to tear. It's not a bad or wrong thing. Our bodies know how to heal on their own. We just need to give it time. And being in bed for a while after birth is a good thing. And for being intimate, it's best to be resumed a minimum of 6 weeks after birth, or of course, when you feel ready. Communicating how you're feeling and finding other ways to be intimate is really important for the relationship. After about a week, I felt much better, but my boobs got so big and tender. They were leaking so much, more than any other child I've had, and it was so uncomfortable. But after a month or so of wet shirts and lots of laundry, My body learned her demand. On her 1-week birthday, August 9th, we had a naming ceremony with family, which began with a feast on our back deck. We thought of the name the night before. In the middle of the night, I just woke up at 3 a.m. and said, "Gabe, what about Fiona?" And he said yes, and we fell back asleep quickly. We gave everyone a chance to guess the name. No one got it. Then we gave them the letter F. My brother and father both said Fiona at the same time. Everyone loved the name. We shared the meaning of her name. It's white or fair girl in Scottish Gaelic. It also derives from the element of the vine, but we believe that she will bring the most meaning to the name. We then had another delicious cake and champagne and shared our commitments and promises towards her. My promise is to be patient and loving, to seek understanding, allowing her to learn for herself, but also to be there as a protective mama bear as necessary. To accept her as she is without forcing my ideas onto her, to share the wisdom of women and the sacred feminine. We then had a bonfire again, and we had lots of visitors, which was nice, but I was also feeling the need to rest and have a quiet mind. A lot of visitors and neighbors were super great and helpful, bringing food and gifts and offering attention to Cedar. I'd probably prefer to have them come a little later on than earlier, for then I had more energy to share and move about. Get off of me! Anyhow, everyone's postpartum is different, and every child you add adds new dimension to motherhood, and there are many new relationships created. I really cherish the early moments of bonding, just sitting with her, doing nothing but looking at her, feeling her, breathing with her. This time passes too quickly, and the less people and distractions, the more a mother can tap into her intuition and be in tune with what she needs for the baby. Mama mush brain is a real thing, but it's actually helpful. You don't need to be worrying about math or knowing what day of the week it is. You're tapping more into this instinctual, intuitive flow. I felt so strong and proud of what I was capable of, and I could understand and feel connected to the lineage of mothers who have done this since the beginning of time. I felt initiated into motherhood once again. Oh yeah. People tell me I'm brave to birth at home without interventions, but for me, it's the natural way of things. I think it's brave for women to leave their homes or nests during this intense and intimate time. I feel it's brave for women to birth in front of strangers or to numb their lower half while trying to push out a baby. A woman needs to be seen, supported, trusted, and loved on, not seen as an emergency, fed fearful situations, or seen as a problem. When a woman is in a safe and familiar place, she is able to fully let go to the magical experience of birth, a gift and a power we were given. To me, birth is such a huge and transformational experience, a rite of passage, but it's also like no big deal. Baby comes out, it's intense, but then it's over. And when you have that empowered birth, you're able to begin motherhood in an empowered way, seeking answers within. Well, a big thank you to all who supported my journey. All the best to you. May you stand in your power. You are capable, you are powerful, you are life-giving. Stand up for what you want now and always. You deserve the very best. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out my channel. I have another birth video there and other videos on child raising, homemaking, and more. All the freedom and power to you.